We're joined live in studio by Julie Collins, Shadow Minister for Ageing and Seniors. Julie, thank you for your time.
Good morning, Annalise.
Now, there's a story that came out yesterday. You're concerned about the privatisation of care teams for the elderly.
That's right. The government has said that it wants to privatise the aged care assessments that are currently done by our states and territories right across Australia. Over 1,000 qualified workers, occupational therapists, registered nurses who do these assessments, some of them in hospitals to get people home with care so that they can go home. And the government has said it wants to privatise these services, so go out to tender to private contractors. This has been criticised by the states and territories. It's been criticised widely by professionals, and the government has done this before the Royal Commission has made any recommendation about it. And indeed, Richard Colbeck said the Royal Commission had recommended it, and the commissioners came out and actually slapped him down and said, we have made no such recommendation. And then we've had Minister Hunt come out and say that David Tune recommended it. And yesterday, we had one of the government's own members, Liberal member Russell Broadbent, come out and say that's not true either.
Aren't there benefits, though, for privatising a system like this? Lower cost to the taxpayer, more competitive tender?
Well, the issue that we've got with the privatisation of the aged care assessments is that we're worried about the loss of the qualifications of people doing these assessments. We're also concerned that this is being done before the Royal Commission has made any decisions about the assessment services. David Tune did recommend it streamlining. It can be streamlined without outsourcing it. It's been criticised by the New South Wales Health Minister. They've had no proper discussions prior to the decision with the government about this. Everybody thinks that it's best to leave things as they are in terms of the aged care assessments until the Royal Commission reports in November.
Now, you, like many people in Parliament around Australia, have been incredibly distressed, moved by the murder of Hannah Clark in Brisbane and her 3 young children, horrific murder at the hands of her husband, their father. There was this motion in Parliament yesterday to take the order off of Bettina Ardnt, the Order of Australia. Were you disappointed to see that didn't have universal support?
Well, I'm pleased that it passed the Senate. I don't want to give Bettina too much of a platform, quite frankly. I was critical when she first got the award. I don't think she should have got it in the first place. I hope the Australian Day Council listens to the strong message from the Senate yesterday.
We learned this morning that she's been lobbying her supporters to send emails, letters to their members, to senators and to the Governor-General as well to back her. Do you think that's appropriate? Should senators be listening to her Men Too supporters?
Well, I think the point is that she's made comments that are unacceptable, both in relation to the horrific murders last week and other comments in relation to other issues in the past that are completely inappropriate, that I think brings her award into disrepute. And I think the Australian Day Council should make a decision based on the facts, not on who lobbies them.
And you're organising a vigil for Hannah Clark?
Yeah, we are, myself, Linda Burney, Maurice Payne and Anne Rushton. It'll be across the Parliament. I think that this will be a time for a show of unity and across the Parliament to remember what has happened, but also remember other victims of family violence and domestic violence and the survivors, and what we should all be doing and working together to help them to make sure that we keep women and children safe in Australia. And hopefully it'll bring a quiet moment of reflection about what more needs to be done.
Why do you think it's so important for parliamentarians to be standing up on this issue?
Well, I think, we are elected by the community as the nation's leaders. I think we need to show that on important issues we can come together, we can have a moment of quiet reflection. What has happened is completely unacceptable, but it's happening every week and every day in people's homes right across the country. We all need to work together to do more, and I think it sends a message to the Australian public that we want to work together to get this done.
What would you like to see the Minister for Women in particular do in response to this?
Well, I think we need to look at what other practical measures, and that's why Anthony Albanese has called for a summit, working with other tiers of government and not-for-profit about what practical measures can we do today to make sure that when women leave, they can be kept safe, women and children, but also what we can do to assist those that are currently not safe to leave and be safe. I think there are many things that we can do, and I think we need to, not dismiss people's suggestions and ideas, but actually have a discussion with experts about what works and how we keep people safe.
Where do you sit on the family law inquiry? Do you think it's appropriate that Pauline Hanson be on that committee?
Well, obviously Labor didn't support the inquiry initially because there have been many, many more other inquiries into family law in Australia already. The Australian Law Reform Commission had done a significant report. There was over 60 recommendations in that report. They haven't all yet been implemented by the government, and I would think that the government should look at those. Obviously, we'll work constructively as much as we can in terms of the current inquiry, but what I want to see is practical action immediately whilst we work on the longitudinal change that hopefully will have some impact.
Julie Collins, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Annalise.